Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Boston Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 10 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Friday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left fielder, Jarren Duran. And on the right, center fielder, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. And now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Boston Red Sox. Leading off for the Red Sox at DH, Mickey Gasper. Batting second, playing center field, Ceddanne Rafaela. Batting third, playing right field, Wilyer Abreu. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, Wilson Contreras. Batting fifth, playing left field, Jarren Duran. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, Isaiah Falefa. Batting seventh, playing third base, Caleb Durbin. Batting eighth, catching today for the Red Sox, Carlos Narvaez. And batting ninth, playing second base, Andrew Monasterio. And on the mound for the Red Sox with a 2-3 record, ERA of 3.21, it is Ranger Suarez. And now let's get into the starting lineups for your Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at DH, Rob Refsnyder. Batting second, catching today, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field, welcome back to the lineup, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing right field, it is the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting sixth, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. Batting seventh, playing left field tonight, Victor Robles. Batting eighth, playing shortstop for Seattle, the phenom, Colt Emerson. And batting ninth, welcome to the ball club from the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman, Weston Wilson. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 3-0 record, our ace, our number one, ERA of 1.54. It's Miller time. It's Bryce Miller. Now, we are doing the piggyback, so we assume that we will see Luis Castillo at some point, probably around, you would assume, the 6th or 7th inning, depending on how well it goes for Bryce. And we'll see how this will go, as we go from now until the All-Star break, with every starter more than likely getting a chance to piggyback, more than likely once. And again, they're doing this to save the pen. No Matt Brash, no Cooper Criswell, no Carlos Vargas, a lot of AAA guys. So hopefully we'll be able to complete the game with just Castillo and Bryce Miller. And so for obviously, purposes to the Mariners, we are going against 3 lefties in a row against the Boston Red Sox. So Miles Mastrobuoni was kind of the casualty for Weston Wilson to join the ball club. So for the Miles Mastrobuoni situation, we have 7 days at this point to decide to either trade him, release him, send him to waivers, or the minor leagues, unless there ends up being some other issue and he joins the ball club. Obviously, we think Mastrobuoni and Johnny Pareda are more valuable than Rob Refsnyder or Connor Joe, but again, it's based off position. We know the front office, doesn't really make the right move all the time, but the main reason is that we are going against 3 lefty starters in a row here against Boston, so they felt that Mastrobuoni designated for assignment would be the proper individual. We'll see if that ends up working out. We thought Miles played pretty well while he got a chance filling in for Ryan Bliss in that Orioles series earlier in the year, and we'll monitor that situation closely. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. So every stream, we're going to dedicate it to this man who's going into retirement. Let's go out with a bang. It is the icon. It is the legend, Rick Riz. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Shout out to Team USA for their victory over Australia, which was fantastic. Got a chance to watch that earlier today. Hawks in the building, what's good? All day in the building, what's good? Parker in the building, let's get it. Angry's in the building, let's go. And we ended up picking up that individual this morning. So again, and he's a righty, so they're going to throw him at third base. And, again, that doesn't necessarily mean Miles Mastrobuoni is off our team forever. Again, I would rather have a guy like Miles Mastrobuoni and Johnny Pareda rather than guys like Rob Refsnyder and Connor Joe, or Mitch Garver for that matter. But again, these are situations that are decided by the front office, and that doesn't mean that Johnny Pareda won't be back on this team at some point. So, we thought that Johnny was the better catcher than Mitch Garver when Cal was out. Kind of a shame that he ended up being the casualty and had to go to AAA and then designated for assignment. Which doesn't necessarily mean he's cut from the team forever. It just means that he's off the 40-man roster for now, and then we'll have a week to decide, hey, do we want to trade him? Do we want to release him? Do we want to send him to waivers? Or maybe the most, smart decision would just send him to AAA. Keep him on our squad. He's too valuable just to let go. I mean, I'd rather have Mastrobuoni and Pareda than Garver, Connor Joe, or Rob Refsnyder any day of the week. But again, this is the Seattle Mariner front office making these decisions. And a lot of times when they end up paying a guy in the offseason, they're stubborn. They don't want to admit that they were wrong. So that's kind of why maybe some of these guys that are still on the team, like Rob Refsnyder, that they signed in the offseason, they're not willing, to, let him go or, release him or, necessarily send him to AAA, which doesn't really make any sense. But, we'll see how it goes. And again, we are going to be challenged in this 3-game set, since we are going to be going against 3 lefties. We are going to be doing the piggyback here today, and hopefully Bryce is electric. It's just kind of a damn shame that Bryce has to be the one first, to go through this piggyback, because he's our best pitcher. We don't want to be up 2-0, 3-0, and then all of a sudden Castillo comes in the 6th, 7th inning and then gives up 3 runs, and then bullpen ends up coming in after that, and we end up losing the game. So I would rather have Bryce be excluded from the piggyback. He's our best pitcher. He hasn't had a weakness all year. His velocity is better than it's ever been in his career. But again, everyone is going to have a chance to piggyback at least once until we get to the All-Star break. So I guess Bryce will have to be the first. And again, it's not fair to Bryce Miller. For everyone else, it's fine. If you want to piggyback Emerson Hancock, even though he's been the second best pitcher for the year, so be it. George Kirby and Brian Wu had a little bit of a moment where, they were struggling a little bit, but Wu got back on track. Kirby, now 4 or 5 starts in a row, is still not looking good. And obviously Castillo and Gilbert have gotten better as of late. Who would have thought that George Kirby would be our worst pitcher, at the moment? But again, I do believe he will get back on track, hopefully with run support as the season goes on. But again, you just never know what to expect with this team. One thing that you can expect is injuries. We got a hell of a lot of them. Luke Raley is still day-to-day, but since we are going against a lefty, we may not see him unless they go to a righty later in the lineup. But we should be able to see Luke Raley at some point once they have a right-handed pitcher, on the mound from the bullpen either today, tomorrow, or on Father's Day. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm very confident that we can end up winning this series. And again, controversial moves, but we just got to be able to take it with stride and know that Mastrobuoni and Pareda, more than likely will still be on our roster. They may just be in AAA, as part of the organization, but hopefully they are not dumb enough to let Mastrobuoni go or Pareda go at any given point this season. Obviously, they're too valuable to this team, especially with all the injuries. So, yeah, Cade has been killing it, and Ryan Sloan as well. It's just a matter of time. They just don't want to rush those guys. But again, with some of the other pitchers that we have in the pen, with Rucker and obviously Hoppy, and Hoppy obviously is the worst. Rucker's a little bit better than him, and Nick Davila is amazing. That might be a piece that we can keep. ERA still 0, but again, it's just a matter of time before we get Cade Anderson up this year. Probably Ryan Sloan next year. But again, you never know. If injuries keep building up, there's a chance that both of them could be on the team before the season is over. So, Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Yeah, so the reason that we're doing the piggyback situation this year is because we have the 6 starters and our bullpen is injured. So they want to be able to give 1 day off for the bullpen. At least that's the goal. So that way they can have 2 starters go the whole game. And everyone has agreed out of all 6 starters, with Miller and Hancock, Kirby, Wu, Gilbert, and Castillo, they've all agreed that this is okay. And they will all be willing to do it at least once until we get to the All-Star break. And then once we get to the All-Star break, hopefully a few of the others will get a little bit healthier. Remember, we're not going to have Matt Brash, Cooper Criswell, or Carlos Vargas, who hasn't played this season, until the trade deadline. So we're not going to see any of those guys until August. And the one that's going to hurt the most is obviously Brash, and then obviously Cooper Criswell. And, Vargas, had his moments, even though he blew a lot of games for us. But, it would be nice to have access to him, but we won't have access to those 3 guys. So another reason the piggyback is in place. All right, first pitch here from Bryce Miller to Gasper is low and away, 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Let's go. Callie in the building. What's good? Cobra in the building. What's good? 1-0 pitch. Low and at the knees, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the first, 0-0 here early between the Red Sox and the Mariners. Rebecca is in the building. How are you? Shout out to our female audience, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. 2-0 pitch from Miller. Popped him up. Should be a routine play, you would assume, here in left field. And Robles there with Wilson. Thankfully, they don't collide, and obviously this is Weston Wilson's first game. Played on the Phillies and then the Orioles. Not the greatest player, but again, we'll see what he can do, obviously offensively and defensively, and he's a righty, and that's kind of the main reason that they put him there. Gasper fouls out to Victor Robles, and that is 1 away. Good start here. Down goes Mickey Gasper. Next up in the 2-hole, Cedon Rafaela. First pitch to Cedon Rafaela. Pitch is high and inside. 4-seam fastball. 96 miles an hour by Bryce Miller. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss right down the middle. 4-seam fastball. 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cedon Rafaela. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Nasty pitch there from Bryce. Four-seam fastball again, 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Raffaella. Let's go, Bryce. 1-2 pitch. Popped him up. Julio is back with the team. Deep center field, back to the wall, and caught, and that is 2 away. Great to see Julio Rodriguez back with the squad. And that is 2 up and 2 down. No fly zone in full effect. Bryce Miller with a 3-0 record, 1.54 ERA, which is ridiculous. And hopefully he'll be able to continue his dominance. Next up is Wilyer Abreu. First pitch to Abreu is low and away, 1-0 count. Bryce Miller on the mound, Wilyer Abreu in the box. Trident's up, let's go M's. Mexico is in the building, popped him up, and Julio is there, and that is 3 up and 3 down. Maybe the easiest, top of the first inning we've had in a moment. 3 pop-ups, 3 outs, as easy as it can be. And now it's time for the offense to get going. Now we are going to be going against 3 lefties, here today, obviously tomorrow, and on Father's Day. And we know that obviously with the lefty pitchers, we struggle a little bit. But again, I am confident that we can get the job done. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Leading off here for Seattle. And honestly, I'd rather have J.P. Crawford playing in the game than Rob Refsnyder. I could care less if he's a righty or not. And again, at some point, you're going to have some lefties that are going to be able to, try to do what they do, like Dominic Canzone and Cole Young. So again, I know they want to try to get Rob playing time, but I would have rather seen J.P. Crawford lead off, even though it would be lefty on lefty, rather than Rob Refsnyder. But let's see if Rob can make worthwhile his opportunity here today. Leading off for the Mariners, DHing Rob Refsnyder. Hopefully he can get 1 hit and maybe get walked once. Best case scenario, he gets 2 hits out of 4 or 5 at-bats if he lasts that long, or, maybe a home run or a double, but lately he hasn't really been doing a whole lot. Batting second, catching today for the Mariners, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And batting third, welcome back to the lineup with that hamstring tweak that obviously wasn't major like Randy's. Center fielder, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. And Randy's still on the 10-day IL. Luke Raley, day-to-day. We may see him tonight. And again, we'll see where the rest of the injuries stack up as the season continues. Trident's up. Let's go M. 76 up to go to 24,400. Hopefully we get going here early with Rob, and let's see where we're at on the likes with 122 here early. And we're at 30 at the likes. Good start. 70 to go. Ranger Suarez on the mound. Rob Refsnyder in the box. First pitch is low and away. Four-seam fastball, 90 miles an hour there by Ranger Suarez. 2-3 record, 3.21 ERA for the lefty. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ranger Suarez to Rob Refsnyder. Trident's up. Let's go M's. One pitch, high and away. Good eye there by Rob. Change up 78 miles an hour off speed. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Red Sox and the Mariners. And a little slow dribbler up the middle by Refsnyder. Throw to first, and that is 1 away. Just kind of feels like Rob is, just a wasted individual on the team, like a Dylan Moore. And even Dylan Moore was better than Refsnyder, and both were not very good. Dylan last year, Rob this year, but, again, they need to have some, righty bats, but I think we would be much better off with just not even having Refsnyder on the team altogether. Just call it, we made a mistake, and obviously he was a former Red Sox and, he used to smash lefties for them, but really hasn't done a whole lot for us this season, unfortunately. First pitch to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, is a ball, 1-0 count. Jimbo's in the building. Tri-City's in the building. Mexico's in the building. Hawaii is in the building. Shout out to everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. And shout out to Team USA for getting that victory over Australia. The first time they've gone 2-0 in Cup play since like 1930. Let's go. And obviously it being in Seattle, and it's just beautiful to be able to see, World Cup being played where the Seahawks play. Fantastic. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away, cutter 87 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Ranger Suarez to the big dumper. Sean's in the building. What's good? Barbie is in the building representing Cali. I see you. 1-2 pitch from Suarez into the dirt. Good eye there by Cal. Curveball off speed, 73 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Spokane Valley in the building. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss there for the big dumper, and that is 2 away. Hopefully we can get Cal back on track, just like in his first game where he had that big RBI that scored Robles and Emerson, and we ended up winning that game. We need him to get back to that version of Cal, and we need Cal to homer. We haven't seen him homer in his Seattle Mariner uniform in a minute, and had 5 home runs for the Tacoma Rainiers, 2 multi-homer games within the last week. But again, we need to get him going. First pitch to Julio Rodriguez, takes a strike looking right down the middle, cutter 89 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Alec in the building. What's good? Louisiana in the building. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ranger Suarez to Julio Rodriguez. And we desperately missed Julio. You don't really realize, how much you miss certain guys until they are out of the lineup injured. And I still miss Randy, even with some of his issues in left field with ground balls. He's been an amazing hitter for us this season. Could be better running the bags and defending ground balls. That's for, damn sure. But, again, missing Cal, missing Julio, missing Rayleigh, missing Naylor, and seeing what Naylor did for us yesterday. Just nice that we're starting to kind of get healthy, but we still got a few pieces out. Big swing and a miss, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Rodriguez. And considering, as they're showing JP on the screen, he's the most patient hitter on the team. Sometimes you just got to be able to take an L and say, hey, I know we're going against left-handed pitching, but Rob shouldn't be playing. Just bottom line, he shouldn't be playing. 2-2 pitch, and that's strike 3. Down goes Julio. And too late to challenge there for Julio Rodriguez, and that is out number 3. Because I honestly think, a left-handed pitcher, that's fine, but JP could still get on with a walk. He could still get a hit off a lefty. To act like, left-handed hitters, can't get a hit off a left-handed pitcher is a little ridiculous. Instead of going with a righty that can't even hit Refsnyder against righties or lefties. So make it make sense, and who's got a better chance of forcing a walk, Refsnyder or JP Crawford? I'd rather go with JP, and I know a lot of y'all would agree. All right, let's go to the top of the second inning and see who's up next here for the Red Sox. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Red Sox in the 4-hole, first baseman Wilson Contreras. Batting second in the 5-hole, left fielder, their best player, Jarren Duran, besides Contreras, of course, this season. And batting third, player that I feel that's been like on almost every fucking team in the league, in the 6-hole, shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Just seems like every year he's on a new team. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $77 subs to go to 24,400. And let's see where we're at on the likes here so far. And we're still looking for our first dono on our dono train. All right, we're at 46. Good start. 54 to 100. Really? Never been to Boston, but very intimidating wall, obviously, to hit those home runs out there. But I imagine that was a pretty fun experience for you. Who ended up winning the game? First pitch from Miller to Contreras, takes a strike looking at the line. 0-1 count. Contreras and Duran have been trying to hold down the best they can with this squad, but they've had a lot of struggles this season with hitting. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, low and away. Slider, 88 miles an hour there by Bryce Miller. No balls and 2 strikes from Bryce Miller to Wilson Contreras. 0-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. There we go. Well, T-Mobile is beautiful. Again, it's one of the best, ballparks out of all 30. There's no doubt about that. It's top 5. I mean, there's going to be some that have more history, like Wrigley and a few others and whatnot. But, I think most people that come here, even if you're a fan of an opposing team, they're pretty impressed on the way that the ballpark is set up. It's a beautiful place. One of my favorite places to go once or twice a year. Next up is Jarren Duran. Great punch out there to Contreras, their best player besides Jarren Duran. So if we can limit the damage with these two guys, again, we have a good chance of hopefully winning 2 out of 3. And if we win the first 2 games, we might be able to sweep. First pitch there, big swing and a miss, high and away to Jarren Duran, 0-1 count. And we are doing our piggyback here today with Miller starting it off and Castillo coming in after. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees with the knuckle curve, 82 miles an hour. Bryce Miller on the mound and Jarren Duran in the box. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Bryce Miller. And it's just so impressive that Bryce, after an injury, it didn't take him a month or 2 to get going like it did for Kirby last year, as well as Logan Gilbert, where he played a few games, got hurt for about a month and a half, and wasn't really good for about a month. Kirby was out for 3 months, came back, and it wasn't very good. And it took him a while. But Bryce has been electric. And not only has he been electric, but this is the best version of Bryce Miller we've seen in his career. I mean, he's hitting numbers that we haven't ever seen before. So at least we got one guy that we can ultimately trust out of the 6 in the starting lineup, even though there has been a few that are getting there, like Hancock and Wu lately. Pitch fouled off there by Jarren Duran. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Duran. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Count now is full. Pitch fouled off right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes, with nobody on and 1 out, top of the second. 0-0 here early between the Red Sox and Mariners. Broken bat there by Duran, explodes into a billion pieces. He's got to get himself some new equipment here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, with nobody on and 1 out, top of the second. 0-0 here early between the Red Sox and the Mariners. Yeah, we had a little bit of a heat wave here in Oregon and Washington today, hitting in the high 80s. And then we're going to have a couple days to cool off. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to be in the 90s here. So, again, lots of AC and a lot of fans that are, it's kind of rare, with El Nino and everything else that's going on with the weather. You're starting to get July and August weather in Oregon and Washington in June. And that is something that normally does not happen. We might get 1 or 2 days in the 90s or 100s, but not usually 5 to 10 days. And Duran strikes out swinging. Let's go. We'll take that. Pitches low and away with that knuckle curve and got him. That's what I like to see there out of Bryce Miller. Great job. 2 up and 2 down. The best 2 players on the team as well, Contreras and Duran. And if we can limit the damage with those 2, we should be able to win a lot of games in this series. Next up in the 6th hole, shortstop Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Let's go, Bryce. First pitch to Kiner-Falefa, crushes it into deep left field. Back. Gone! Damn it. And Kiner Falefa getting a home run. Or Durbin getting the home run, excuse me. They switched up the lineup there. So they made a change in the lineup. So Kiner Falefa is actually scratched. So they ended up bringing in Mayer. I got confused there. All right. They must have did that right before first pitch. So Durbin with the home run, solo dinger. So let's take out Kiner Falefa. And Mayer is up now. 1-0 Red Sox. Wasn't expecting that. Let's see if I can find a photo of Mayer in time. One-0 pitch. In there for a strike to Mayer. Let's see. Do I have anything of him? Where is he? Here we go. Marcelo Maya. And I double-checked the lineup 2 times before first pitch, but that must have been something that they just did. 1-1 pitch. Crushed into left field and foul. All right, let me get this Marcelo Mayer photo up here in the right spot. All right, so Durbin is in the 6 hole, so I got to make a little change here for the rest of the game. And then we got Marcelo in the 7 hole. 1-2 pitch, popped up, and out of play. And Maya is playing shortstop. And Durbin is playing third, okay. One-two pitch. Little dribbler to Marcelo is foul. All right, so we got Bryce on the mound and Marcelo Mayer in the box. That threw me off guard. You know, I was like, is that Kiner Falefa? What's going on here? And then everything didn't line up, and then now I have to go back through everything, make sure it's all organized here, and I think I'm good to go now. 1-2 pitch. Low and away. Slider missing there by Miller. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bryce Miller to Marcelo Mayer. Solo dinger there by Durbin. Homer to left center, 367 feet, 1-0 Red Sox. And again, that's not something that happens to Bryce that often, and hopefully that'll be the only run that he gives up the whole game. You know, and when we say something like that, normally that's not something that will happen. But for Bryce Miller, it definitely could. You know, he's been our most electric pitcher out of our 6 starters. So we will see. 2-2 pitch to Marcelo Mayer. Popped him up and out of play. And now we're going to go to pitch number 9. Long at bat here for Bryce Miller to Marcelo Mayer. 39-37 record, 21-17 at home for the Mariners, 29-43 overall for the Red Sox, 17-18 on the road. 2-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Marcelo Mayer. Let's go, Bryce. 3-2 pitch. That is strike 3. There we go. What a long at-bat. 10 pitches. But again, you know, getting the job done. Great job there by Bryce Miller. You know, it didn't get rattled after that home run, but we are down 1-0 with a Caleb Durbin home run there. And now let me go through all the individuals in the lineup for Boston, make sure I got everyone in the right position. All right, so we got Rafael in center, Abreu in right, Contreras is at first, and then Duran's in left. Durbin, who hit the home run, is at third. Marcelo Mayer coming in for Isaiah Kiner Falefa. Last minute substitution. He's at short. Narvaez is catcher. And Monasterio is at second. Okay, so it looks like they just straight up swapped position for Kiner Falefa and Mayer. Okay. All right, so we're down 1-0 and nothing really to get too concerned about, but hopefully the offense can get the job done here. Let's see who's up next here for TM. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Next up for the Mariners, who started the rally for us yesterday, it's Nails. First baseman in the 4-hole, Josh Naylor. Let's go Nails. Batting second in the 5-hole, right fielder today, one of the hottest hitters in baseball in the last 3 weeks. It's the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. I would love to see him go yard. And batting third in the 6-hole, one of my favorite players on the team, a great two-way player, offense and defense, second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 77 subs to go to 24,400. We hit 6.1 million views just a few days ago. Next goal will be 7 million views. At our single highest donation on the channel, $1,500 by Odin's son a few days back as well. Shout out to Odin. And let's take a look to see where we're at on the likes as we approach the bottom of the second inning, and hopefully we'll tie the game up or take the lead. All right, we're at 54 likes. 46 to 100. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch there by Ranger Suarez to Josh Naylor. Takes a strike looking low and away, 0-1 count. Ranger Suarez 2-3 record with an ERA of 3.21. And we got Josh Naylor in the box. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Let's go Nails. We need someone to start the rally, and hopefully it'll be Naylor. Let him know all day. Let's go, Josh. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away. Curveball, 74 miles an hour, fooling Naylor. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Naylor. I got you. I mean, I plan on doing this for the rest of my life, so, somebody's got to hold down the Mariners on YouTube. 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking, high and away. No challenge there by Josh Naylor. As we're rocking the steelhead uniforms here today, which we normally reserve for Sundays, but again, they decided to bust them out here today. All right, down goes Naylor. That is 1 up and 1 down. Next up is the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. And so far, Raffaella and Miller both have 3 Ks each, so it's so far a pitcher's duel, even though Miller gave up the jack to Caleb Durbin. Let's go, Dom. First pitch in there, first strike looking, 0-1 count. Let's go, Canzone. 0-1 pitch, little dribbler towards first, and foul. Sinker, 87 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Ranger Suarez to Dominic Canzone. And not ideal that we're going to be going against 3 lefty starters in a row. But again, I still feel confident that we can end up winning the series, hopefully winning 2 out of 3. And then obviously if we win the first 2, we can start talking about potential sweep. 0-2 pitch, low and away. Curveball, 74 miles an hour there by Ranger Suarez. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Red Sox. And we're going to need a few home runs in this series as well. We are the most home run dependent team in baseball, which is not good, but we are top 3 in home runs as of a few days ago with the Dodgers and the Yankees. So again, we've definitely have been able to blast a lot of home runs this season, but in those games where we only have RBIs, sometimes it's kind of hit or miss. 1-2 pitch, low and away. Good eye there by Dom. Slider, 76 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Canzone. And I hope we get righties so we can bring in Luke Raley and JP Crawford. I would love to be able to see them, get some action in the series. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Good eye there by Dom. And he's probably the second most patient hitter recently, and obviously it's really helped Dom's batting average, and obviously his hits, home runs, and RBIs have gone through the roof in the last 3 weeks. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss there, low and away. Suarez is wheeling and dealing, and that is 2 away. But again, we do struggle against lefties, so it may be slim pickings in this series. We just got to hope that we can find a way to kind of battle it out, maybe bunt. You sometimes do things that normally you don't do, to try to get that competitive edge. Outside the box, that's how you have to think. Next up in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. First pitch into Young is in there for a strike, 0-1 count. And also, too, if we go against a lefty that's good, rather than a lefty that's bad, sometimes the result is still the same. We struggle, but, Suarez is a pretty good pitcher, so it's not going to be easy. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. Don't be fooled by the 2-3 record. ERA is 3.21, and more times than not, Suarez usually plays the Mariners pretty well, regardless of what team he's on. 1-1 pitch, a little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is out number 3 as Cole Young grounds out. And we're going to have to wait another inning before we potentially get on the board. End of the second inning, 1-0 Red Sox. All right, let's see who's up next here for Boston as we go to the top of the third. Next up for the Red Sox and the 8-hole catcher Carlos Narvaez. Batting second in the 9-hole, second baseman Andrew Monasterio. And batting third, leading off, DHing Mickey Gasper. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $77 subs to go to 23,400. Still looking for our first dono on our dono train here on this Friday night. And let's take a look to see where we are at on the likes, how close we are to 100. We're at 62. We're almost there. 38 to go. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Now let's take a look at the stats here early on. So Ranger Suarez, 2 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 Ks, 28 pitches, 16 strikes with a 3.13 ERA. He's dominating here early. And then Bryce Miller, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, the home run that he gave up to Durbin, which is unfortunate, but he's still going to be amazing. No walks, 3 Ks, 30 pitches, 21 strikes with a 1.70 ERA, and came into the game with a 3-0 record and a 1.54 ERA. So just got to be able to get some run support. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Miller on the mound. Carlos Narvaez in the box. First pitch, popped up and out of play. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Let's go, baby. 0-1 pitch, fouled it off right down the middle. Splitter, 85 miles an hour. Going towards third base and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Narvaez. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Top of the third inning, 1-0 Red Sox. 0-2 pitch. High and inside, 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the third, 1-0 Boston with a Caleb Durbin solo dinger, 367 feet to left center. Could have been worse. Could have been a 2-run jack or a 3-run bomb or a grand salami. So we have to be thankful it was just 1. Big swing and a miss, and down he goes, and that's the 4th punch out for Bryce Miller. Let's go. Pacing for 8 to 10. Let's get it. Great job there by Bryce Miller, putting that home run behind him. Next up in the 9-hole, second baseman Andrew Monasterio. First pitch to Monasterio, low and away, 1-0 count. They're showing some of the steelhead gear in the team store there at the stadium. Very cool. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss right down the middle. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the third, 1-0 Boston. And I don't really know what I'm going to get as far as a souvenir when I go on the 4th of July. I mean, you are going to get a bucket hat that is going to be the, stadium giveaway, but I might end up, picking up something. Just kind of depends on what's available there. 1-1 pitch, fouled off right down the middle. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Monasterio. 1-2 pitch. Little dribbler up the middle. And Emerson can't get to it in time. Dives for it. And it just goes past his glove into left field. And a single there into left for Monasterio. If they ended up having a Cole Young or a Colt Emerson jersey in my size, that would be definitely something I would be looking at, but I'm not sure if they even have them there at the team store. Online, they don't even make them yet, so may have to wait till next year. All right, a single there from Monasterio. Next up is Mickey Gasper. On deck is Cedon Rafaela. Let's go, Bryce. First pitch to Gasper. Pops up behind the plate and foul to the T-Mobile Bricks. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Bryce. 0-1 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 0-1 pitch. High and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Gasper. Yeah, and you always have to be able to check, where the game is being shown, because locally in Oregon and Washington, sometimes it'll be on TV, not on just Mariners TV. And then obviously we have the exclusive games that'll be on Apple TV and a few of those other networks like Peacock as well. 1-1 pitch, low and away with the knuckle curve, 80 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the third, 1-0 Boston. But if you don't have access, you obviously have us here at the NWSF. And then if you have Mariners TV or other options, you can obviously watch along, which a lot of people do as well. 2-1 pitch. Takes a strike right down the middle. Miller is definitely on today. Just had the 1 bad pitch down the middle that got crushed for a home run by Durbin. But other than that, he's been electric. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mickey Gasper. Let's go, Bryce. Let's see if we can get another punch out here. 4 punch outs each for Miller, and throw to first and safe. 4 strikeouts apiece, as I was mentioning, by Suarez and Miller. So it's a pitcher's duel so far. The only difference is the Red Sox have 2 hits and a home run, and we haven't got our first hit yet, and we've got to hope that Bryce can continue to be great. Unfortunately, we are piggybacking today, and Castillo will be coming in the 5th, 6th, or 7th. And double play. Got him! Let's go! Great defense there by the Mariners. Josh Naylor with the beautiful double play. Great job there by Nails. It's always great to be able to have, players that can play offense and defense at a high level. Great job there, bailing Bryce out. Now let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning and tie this game up or take the lead. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Great job there by Josh Naylor. Next up for the Mariners in the 7-hole, left fielder today, Victor Robles. Batting second in the 8-hole shortstop, Colt Emerson. And batting third, getting his first at-bat in a Mariner uniform, filling in for Miles Mastrobuoni in the 9-hole, third baseman, welcome to Seattle, Weston Wilson. I would rather have J.P. Crawford at third and Luke Raley, at DH, but, that's Dan Wilson. We'll see if Weston can get the job done, defensively as well as offensively. I don't really have a whole lot of expectations, but, we'll see. Go to the bottom of the third, 1-0 Boston. Rebecca in the building. Judah in the building. What's good? Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. All right, Ranger Suarez on the mound. Dominant so far here today against our weaker lineup. And let's see if Victor Robles can get the party started, and especially with a lot of these weaker bats. I wouldn't mind, seeing Ref Snyder bunt, Robles bunt, Weston Wilson bunt. Hell, maybe even one of the better hitters. First pitch there to Robles, pops it up into center field, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Work the count. If we're going to have any chance of winning this game, we got to be able to get the pitch count up. So that way, if we're going to be piggybacking, they're not going to be doing that. So we want to make sure that, if possible, that Ranger Suarez, doesn't go 7-8 innings. We want him to go 6 or less. But right now he's only at 29 pitches. So not ideal. First pitch to Colt Emerson, the phenom, in there for a strike. Four-seam fastball right down the middle. 0-1 count. Let's go, Colt. 0-1 pitch. Low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. Narvaez is challenging. And it is a ball. It is confirmed. Red Sox lose the challenge. Or it's overturned there, excuse me. They do win the challenge. No balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. 0-2 pitch, little dribbler up the middle. Throw back to first, and that is 2 away. 2 up and 2 down. Next up in the 9-hole, making his debut with the Seattle Mariners, got put on the squad as they decided to move on from Miles Mastrobuoni, designated for assignment. So we have a week to decide if we want to release him, put him on waivers, trade him, or put him in the farm system at AAA for Mastrobuoni. And now we have Weston Wilson. Let's see if we can get something out of Weston here in his first at-bat in a Mariner uniform. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. And I think, just the whole, lefties can't hit righties and righties can't hit lefties is just ridiculous. You just have to go with the better player. Not having J.P. Crawford and Luke Raley not playing is, there's a reason why our record is the way that it is. Instead of playing the best players, just sticking to a safe kind of approach, it really hasn't worked very well for us, especially against left-handed pitching. We need our best players playing. Even though that, they may struggle against left-handed hitting, JP and Luke Raley, but I trust them more than I trust guys, like Rob Refsnyder or like a Mitch Garver or that type of player. So 2-1 pitch and a hard hit ball, shallow left field, and that is out number 3. 3 up and 3 down. Mariners having a hard time here against Ranger Suarez. End of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Boston. All right, let's go to the top of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the Red Sox. All right, next up for the Red Sox, 0-for-1 center fielder in the 2-hole, Cedon Rafaela. Batting second in the 3-hole, right fielder Wilyer Abreu. And batting third in the 4-hole, first baseman, cleanup hitter Wilson Contreras. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 77 subs to go to 24,400. And looks like we gained a sub since the commercial break. Thank you. 76 subs to go now to 24,400. We're still looking for our first dono on our dono train. And let's see where we're at on the likes, how close we are to 100. We got 182 in the room, and we are at 72. We're almost there. $28 to 100. So if we can get 28 people out of the 184 to hit that like button, we will be there. Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to seeing Story, Anthony, and Casas play. But again, if we're going to be going against three lefties, on the mound, it may not matter. First pitch from Miller to Rafaela. Big swing and a miss with the splitter, 83 miles an hour right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, fouled off, high and inside. Tried to jam him with that four-seam fastball and did, as it goes behind the plate to the T-Mobile bricks. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Boston. And every game in this series could be kind of like this, where it's kind of a grind. And we just got to hope that they bring in a righty from the bullpen, and then that's maybe going to be the time where we can start going. Hopefully we can actually get something on Suarez as well. They're 2 lefties that they're going to have on the mound on Saturday and Sunday, but they all could be relatively low-scoring games in this 3-game set. 0-2 pitch, low and away. Splitter, 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Bryce Miller to Ceddanne Rafaela. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss right down the middle. Splitter, 83 miles an hour. Nice job there by Bryce Miller, and that is 1 away. Bryce Miller with 5 Ks. Suarez with 4. Nice job, Bryce. Down goes Ceddanne Rafaela. Next up is Wilyer Abreu. First pitch from Miller to Abreu. Hard hit ball towards first base. In between Naylor and Young. No chance as it dribbles all the way to right field, and a single there for Abreu. As that ball goes to Dominic Canzone in right. Abreu there with the single. Next up, cleanup hitter, first baseman Wilson Contreras. See if we can get another double play here to bail Bryce out if possible, unless he can get a couple more punch outs. Yeah, and you got to think, we don't have Randy in the lineup. We don't have Luke Raley in the lineup. We don't have J.P. Crawford in the lineup. And on top of that, we did get Julio back, but we don't really play very well against left-handed pitching. And that's not just today. It's been all year, and teams know it, So if they can, throw as many lefties out there, that's going to give them a better chance to beat us. And they know that. 0-1 pitch to Contreras and a hard hit ball. Deep left field, fading. Foul, thank God. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Contreras. Yeah, based on the injuries that you mentioned, Contreras and Duran are doing the best they can to kind of keep the team afloat to a certain degree. I mean, obviously 29-43, not the greatest record, but 17-18 on the road. There's a lot of teams that have similar records on the road like that. So throw from Cal. Oh, he might challenge that. That was a close play there. Cole Young with the tag. They say safe. Let's take a look here to see if he ended up getting in there. Looked like he got him. Oh, he's out. He's out. He is out. No doubt, out by 3 inches before his foot even hit the bag. Great throw there by Cal Raleigh. And they're obviously reviewing this play, and in just a moment or two, he'll be out. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, that's one of the easiest plays that you'll be able to call. And a great throw there by Cal Raleigh. Great to have Cal Raleigh back. Even though Pareda did a pretty good job. Garver, and Pareda did the best that they could. But when Cal is on, no one's going to be better than him. And the runner is out. There we go. Great job there by Cal Raleigh. And that is 2 away. We got a 1-2 count here on Contreras, so all we need is 1 more strike, and we're out of the inning. Here we go. Hopefully we can build a little momentum after throwing that runner out at second. Mike in the building, what's good? Beautiful throw there by Cal Raleigh from the knees at home. We've missed that, as well as his bat in the box. 1-2 pitch. Low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wilson Contreras. Two pitch. Little dribbler up the middle. Emerson is there. Throw to first to Naylor, and that is out number 3. Good defense there by Colt Emerson. All right, we need the offense to get going, but again, we do struggle against lefties, regardless if they have a good win-loss record in ERA or if they have a terrible win-loss record and a terrible ERA. It just, when you end up having guys in the lineup like Rev Snyder and then fucking Weston Wilson making his first appearance with the team, that's like 2 guys that you really don't have a whole lot of hope for. So then you got the other 7. You got Cal, you got Julio, you got Naylor, you got Canzone, you got Young and Emerson. We like those guys. And then Robles is kind of the wild card. You hope that he'll get on, but you just don't really know. All right, let's see if we can get something going. And again, if we have these weak hitters, like Rev Snyder and, Weston Wilson and Robles, maybe try to drop a bunt down, and again, this is the things that a manager that's good, will implement. And obviously, if you're an average manager or below average manager, then you don't even do it. And, it shouldn't be, Fanatics are better managers than the actual manager that's managing the Mariners. But I guess that's where we're at. Next up, 0 for 1, DHing Rob Refsnyder. Should have been JP Crawford. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K. Catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's go, Cal. We need you to get the party started. Get something with that right-handed bat. And batting third, welcome back to the team with the hamstring tweak. 0 for 1 with a K, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Right ends up. Let's go, Ems. Drop a butt down. Anything. We got to get something going. Right ends up. Let's go, Ems. All right, we're at 85 likes. We're almost there. 15 to 100. Oh, there we go. The bucket hat. Okay. So I'll be getting one of those. Patriotic bucket hat giveaway. And I've been going on the 4th of July this will be my 3rd year in a row with my best friend. And usually the hats are pretty stylish. This one that I have on was from, 2 years ago when we played the Orioles. Last year we played the Pirates. And then this year we played the Blue Jays. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't have any Mariner bucket hats, and again, I'm looking forward to grabbing that. 1-0 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and no strikes to Rob Refsnyder. 2-0 pitch, little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is 1 away. Having Rob Refsnyder, even though he's a right-handed bat, it's just a waste of fucking time. No, it's just a terrible player. You can have him back for free, Judah. We don't want him. Terrible. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First pitch to Cal, popped him up, and out of play, 0-1 count. Obviously, end up raking lefties for the Red Sox, but, just because you're good on one team doesn't mean you're going to be good in Seattle. Obviously, at T-Mobile, it's the hardest ballpark to hit at, and you might be good somewhere else, but that doesn't mean you're going to be good in Seattle. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss right down the middle. No balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 Boston. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. One-two pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Two-two pitch, low and at the knees. 3-2 pitch. Good walk there for the big dumper. And Cal ends up taking the walk, and now we got a runner at first. Now we can't have any blunders like last time when Cal ended up getting a hit, and then the next batter that ended up coming up, they had a wild pitch that ended up not getting really too far away from the catcher, and then he got thrown out at second. We got to make sure that we appreciate every single opportunity where we have a guy on base. Base running has been bad for the Mariners this season, and hopefully we'll be able to get Cal to second base and beyond. First pitch to Julio Rodriguez with the cutter. High and away, 1-0 count. Come on, Julio. ABS challenge, and it is overturned for a strike. Of course it is. 0-1 count in the bottom of the fourth with a runner at first, Cal Raleigh. Julio in the box, Naylor on deck. The sad thing is for guys that they sign in the offseason, the front office is too stubborn to let guys go or even to send them to AAA that often. I'd rather have, Pareda and Miles Mastrobuoni than Garver, Connor Joe or Rob Refsnyder, but sometimes you need, certain positions, and, we know the front office doesn't always make the right decision. 1-1 pitch, fouled off right down the middle. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Suarez to Julio. But at least one thing that Rob is decent at is defense. So at least he's not like a liability necessarily. He's robbed a home run for us, and he's decent. Not as good as like Robles or Randy or Julio. But or Canzone or Rayleigh for that matter. Defensively, but 1-2 pitch. High and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Ranger Suarez to Julio Rodriguez. 2-2 pitch. And that is strike 3 looking low and at the knees. Man, we have just getting roughed up here, and just not able to find a good rhythm here against Ranger Suarez. But again, we haven't been very good against lefties. And again, if you don't have Luke Rayleigh in the lineup, you don't got J.P. Crawford in the lineup, Randy's not in the lineup. It's like we need to have as much talent in the lineup, especially when we go against lefties. Next up is Nails, Josh Naylor. First pitch from Suarez to Naylor, takes a strike right down the middle. Sinker, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Curveball, 74 miles an hour there by Ranger Suarez. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 Boston. Caleb Durbin with a solo dinger to left center in the 2nd inning, 1-0 Red Sox. We got to get our first hit. We're already halfway through the game. Come on, Ems. Even if that ends up being a bunt, you got to think outside the box. No balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. It's more of a front office thing, though. If they sign someone in the offseason, the front office is not willing to say that we made a mistake, and let a guy go. They usually stick with the guy way too long, if not for the whole season. They're not willing to say they're sorry or say that they messed up. But I guess a lot of people in the world are like that too, right? 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Ranger Suarez to Josh Naylor. 2-2 pitch, hard hit ball with the laser, 20 rows back and out of play. Great souvenir for that fan out there. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Cal Raleigh with 2 outs. Come on, Ems. Yeah. But you can still be, a good, locker room guy. But at the end of the day, if you're a liability, people aren't going to look at you the same way as others if, you're the worst fucking player on the team. And he is, so, you can be likable. But again, that's going to rub people the wrong way when you're trying to go to a World Series. And we're World Series contenders. And having guys like Ref Snyder and Connor Joe and Garver on the team, they shouldn't be on the team, if anything on AAA or on another team. We need to be able to get some better pieces. And we have a lot of injuries in our bullpen as well. So, we're the most banged up team in baseball, but we're still finding ways to be relevant. 2-2 pitch. And Naylor fouls it off again. That's 3 straight foul balls. They're into left field. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. But I will agree that, Rob is a good guy, but sometimes just being a good guy can only get you so far. So 2-2 pitch. And Naylor, line drive is caught, and that is out number 3. Just can't catch a break here so far. We just got to hope that we can end up, getting Suarez out of the game, but he's only, where is he at pitch-wise? 58? So hopefully we'll be able to get him out. And again, after Bryce exits, we're going to have Luis Castillo come in, and we don't really know how that's going to go. Is he going to be electric like, Miller, or is he going to go back to his old ways and give up a few runs? And, at this point, with us not even having a hit yet, we need Castillo to be clean. And what are the chances of that happening? Not probably very good. So we're going to need to try to get a home run or, some ribbies at some point here. All right, let's go to the top of the 5th inning and see who's up next here for the Red Sox. But it's been a long time where we've gone to the 5th inning without at least one hit. This is not, even against lefties, normally we'll have a hit by now. But again, with no J.P. Crawford in the lineup, no Luke Raley, no Randy Arozarena, and we just got Julio back today from an injury. Cal back a few days ago. It's been a transitional period, to say the least. Next up for the Red Sox, 0 for 1 with a K, left fielder Jarren Duran. Batting second, 1 for 1 with a run and an RBI. With the home run, Caleb Durbin. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, shortstop Marcelo Mayer. Right ends up. Let's go M's. I guarantee if we were going against right-handed pitching, we would have hits right now, if not runs. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 75 subs to go to 24,400, less than 700 away from 25,000. That's exciting. We're still looking for our first dono on our dono train. And let's see where we're at on the likes with almost 200 in the room. We are at 94. So we just need 6 people to hit the like button and we'll be at 100. Dave in the building. What's good? Let's go, Bryce. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run. He's got 5 Ks, just like Ranger Suarez. And we need Miller to go as long as possible. First pitch to Jarren Duran. Big swing and a miss. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, right down the middle, 0-1 count. And we are doing our piggyback approach, so you have to assume Miller will pitch this inning, maybe one more, and then we'll have Castillo for probably the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And, your guess is as good as mine on how that will go. We need to get runs on the board, because, again, even if Castillo gives up a run, it may not be enough to recover from. So we'll see. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, high and away. No balls and 2 strikes to Jarren Duran. But definitely feels like we're going to need 2 to 4 runs to win this game. And the magic number for us normally is 5 runs and 7 to 10 hits. But unless we end up getting a righty, we may not hit that number. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Bryce Miller. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 5th, 1-0 Boston. Dave with a tour. Thank you so much. 1-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Shout out to Dave for getting us on the board. We're at 2 on the dono train. 98 to go. Shout out to Dave. Two pitch. Big swing and a miss. Low and away. Great pitch there by Bryce Miller. Down goes Duran. Beautiful knuckle curve, and that is 1 away. Great job there by Bryce Miller. And if he was able to pitch a little bit longer, he'd probably get to 10, 11 Ks. He's at 6 now, but he'll probably end up with, 7, 8, or 9 if he's only going to be pitching this inning and maybe one more. Nice job there by Bryce Miller. Next up, the individual that got them the home run and on the board, Caleb Durbin, the man of the hour. First pitch to Durbin is in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Durbin was going for another home run. Big swing and a miss. Splitter, 85 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 5th, 1-0 Red Sox. 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. Splitter missing there by Miller. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. I would really love to see Luke Raley and J.P. Crawford get a chance to come into this game. We're going to need them. And obviously we don't have access to Randy Arosarena still on the 10-day IL. 1-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. There we go. Another punch out there from Bryce Miller, our number 1 pitcher on the team this season. Great job there by Bryce, bringing a little bit of electricity, at least on one side of this game. Still need the batters in the box to do their job. Next up for Bryce Miller in the 7-hole, shortstop Marcelo Mayer, 0 for 1 with a K. Last minute change between him and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. First pitch fouled off there by Mayer. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Mayer. Two outs with nobody on. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. High and inside. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 5th, 1-0 Red Sox. Come on, Bryce. And I would hope that they would let him go 1 more inning. It would make sense for him to go 6 and then have Castillo try to go 7, 8, and 9. You don't want Miller to go 5 and Castillo to go 4. Usually the most Castillo can go without having a meltdown is 3. And sometimes only 3 batters. Little dribbler up the middle. Miller gets it. Throw to first. Naylor toe tap on the bag, and that is out number 3. And it looks like Bryce Miller is done. I don't like that decision. You should have Bryce go 6 innings and Castillo going 3, instead of 5 and 4. But that's another thing where Dan Wilson doesn't know how to manage. All right, let's see if we can get on the board here. Next up, 0 for 1 with a K, right fielder, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting second, 0 for 1 in the 6-hole, second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. And batting third, 0 for 1 in the 7-hole, left fielder, Victor Robles. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 75 subs to go to 24,400. And gained another sub since the last commercial break. 74 to go to 24,400. We should be over 100 likes now. We're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. And where are we at? We're at 106, 94 to 200. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. All right, time to get on the board. And again, if it's going to be slim pickings like this, then we're going to need that unexpected home run. You know, we're the most home run dependent team, and we need to do exactly what Caleb Durbin did early in the game. Get that home run, that pitch right down the middle, and hopefully we're able to do that against Ranger Suarez. But so far, we haven't even been able to get a hit yet, and I don't even remember the last time we went this long without getting a hit, but also we have the worst lineup than we've ever had. You know, considering no J.P. Crawford, no Luke Raley, no Randy Arosarena. You got Ref Snyder in there, who's garbage. You got Weston Wilson making his first appearance for the Mariners today. We don't really know how good he's going to be, but if I had to take a guess, he's not going to be that great. Little dribbler there by Canzone. Toe tap on the bag, and that is one away. And then with Victor Robles, it's kind of hit or miss with him. You know, so you got Cal, and you got Julio, you got Naylor, you got Canzone, you got Young, and you got Emerson. But, you know, against left-handed pitching, it definitely is a challenge. Next up is Cole Clutch Young. On deck is Victor Robles. No, they just play Rob whenever it doesn't matter if we're playing the Red Sox or not. You know, anytime we go against a left-handed pitcher, he plays. So, first pitch from Suarez to Young, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Suarez to Young. But again, if we can get a right-handed pitcher to come in at some point before this game is over, that's all we need. You know, just 1/2 inning where we can score 1 to 5 runs. If we're lucky. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Suarez to Young. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Got to get something going. Two 2-1 pitch, low and away. 3 balls and 1 strike to Cole Young. And it feels like we haven't even really been able to get in good counts like that all day either. Time for the Mariner Moose to make an appearance. Probably should have made an appearance at the beginning of the game. 3-1 pitch, popped up and out of play. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. Come on, Mariner Moose. Help us. Well, let's see if Cole can get on base here. On deck is Victor Robles. Three-two pitch. And a little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first. And 2 away. And every dribbler, we're having a hard time getting it past the infield. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up is Victor Robles. And again, nobody practices bunting defense. And again, if we actually had a good manager, we would have already bunted once or twice, especially with this weak lineup. First pitch with a curveball in there from Suarez to Robles, 0-1 count. But still, even when, we're down 1-0, it doesn't mean that we can't come back and win 2-1. It's very possible. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ranger Suarez to Victor Robles. Unless we can get Suarez to have a little bit of a mini meltdown and then whoever comes in after the same. But still plenty of ball game left. 1-1 pitch to Robles. High and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Suarez to Robles. And this is being challenged. And call is overturned. Just getting the corner with that cutter. Red Sox with another winning challenge, which seems like they've been winning almost everyone so far. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Victor Robles. 1-2 pitch. Little blooper into left. And that is out number 3. Well, Dan, unfortunately, is just like Scott Service. They just play conservative. and they just do what every other manager does for the most part. And, it's not like there's a lot of really great managers in baseball. Out of 30 teams, there's like maybe 4, or 5 that are like really good managers, and the rest are just kind of a rotating door of former players that are managers that get hired and fired. They don't really promote, guys from college that win natties and then, have them come to the big leagues. It's just they hire a guy, they fire a guy, and it just kind of goes in a rotating door. So end of the 5th inning, 1-0 Boston. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Red Sox. Go to the top of the 6th. Next up in the 8 hole, 0 for 1 with a K, catcher Carlos Narvaez. Batting second, 1 for 1 in the 9 hole, second baseman Andrew Monasterio. And batting third, leadoff hitter DHing 0 for 2, Mickey Gasper. And Bryce Miller's day is done, which I don't agree with. If you're going to piggyback, let the first guy go 6 innings and let the second guy go 3, not 5 and 4. But Bryce Miller ends up finishing with 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 7 Ks, 66 pitches, 46 strikes with a 1.58 ERA. And then now we just have to hold our breath and hope that if Castillo is going to pitch 4 innings, that we can still be down, 1-0 or, at the very worst 2-0. But if he gives up more than a run, it might be game over. Even right now, we don't even have a hit yet. So, but that doesn't mean that we won't get one before this game is up. So, but, for this being our best pitcher, if you're going to do a piggyback, it should always be 6 and 3, not 5 and 4. Especially if that second guy isn't as good. But we'll see what version of Luis Castillo that we get. Luis Castillo is our worst out of the 6, even though Kirby, has played the worst recently within the last 4 or 5 starts. But overall, Castillo is our worst starter out of the 6 in our rotation. So we just got to pray that, this is the good Castillo, not the bad. First pitch to Narvaez. Big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. And, too bad Ken Griffey Jr. and Randy Johnson are professional photographers. If they were a part of our organization like Ichiro is, almost on the daily, think about how much better we would be. 0-1 pitch, high and away. And they do, come and stop by from time to time, but it's not the same as having a guy there almost every day like Ichiro. And, even that being said, the main story for us is really injuries. I've been watching this team for 40 years, and I've never seen a team this beat up as far as the Seattle Mariners are concerned, whether it be a full season or a half season. I've never seen this many injuries. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and a good start there by Luis Castillo, getting a punch out with his first batter. There we go. This is the good Castillo. We like that. Good job, Luis. Bringing the electricity here in the 6th inning, and that is 1 away. Great job. Good job, Luis. Next up in the 9 hole, second baseman Andrew Monasterio. First pitch from Castillo to Monasterio. Takes a strike looking with a 4-seam fastball. 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Ichiro still has obviously a home in Seattle and a home in Japan. And, he's here, quite often during our regular season. So 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Monasterio. One pitch, big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Monasterio. Yeah, we just need to be able to get someone that understands the game, and thinks outside the box. Someone that is not afraid of bunting. 1-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking. There we go. What a great job here by Luis Castillo. That's 2 up and 2 down, and I was a little skeptical, on what version of Castillo that we would get, but so far it looks like we got the good Castillo. Down goes Monasterio, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up is Mickey Gasper. Let's see if he can make it 3 for 3 in this inning. I mean, hell, if he can pitch like this, I don't mind him going for 4 innings. And pops him up. Robles is there, and that is out number 3. Great job there by Luis Castillo. Now we just need the offense to get going, and we need Suarez's pitch count to get up a little bit, but he's at 69 pitches. So if they want to, Suarez could pitch, all the way to the 8th inning, and that is not ideal considering we don't even have a hit yet. We need to get him out, and that's why it's so important to be patient in the box. And when you don't have, guys like Luke Raley and J.P. Crawford and Randy Arozarena in the box to help with that, then it could be obviously tough sledding here. But we just got to hope that one of our lefties can hit or one of our righties can get lucky. All right, next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1 in the 8-hole, shortstop, the phenom, Colt Emerson. Batting second in the 9-hole, third baseman, new to the ball club today, Weston Wilson. And batting third, 0 for 2, DHing, Rob Refsnyder. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. 73 to go to 24,400. We're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. And let's see how close we are to 150 likes with 211 in the room. We are at 113. $87 to $200. Lauren in the building. What's good? We need that Mariner Moose Soto Mojo and that Mariner Magic. Let's go. First pitch from Ranger Suarez to Emerson. Fouls it off. Sinker, 89 miles an hour. 0-1 count. And even though it's, really been rough hitting-wise, pitching has been great. We just need to be able to find someone to hit a home run. If we're only going to get a couple hits this game, we have to make them count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Slider, 78 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. 1-1 pitch, little blooper towards third. Throw to first, and that is 1 away. Just can't get anything past the infield today. I mean, we're hitting the ball, but we just can't get it to the outfield. Next up in the 9-hole, third baseman, Weston Wilson. And I think it also shows you, how important, J.P. Crawford, Luke Raley, and Randy Arozarena are to this team. Hard to win when those guys aren't playing. Even though we do have others that are normally really good players, Cal, Julio, Naylor, Canzone, Young, Emerson. And Wilson flies out to left, and that is 2 away. Jarren Duran with that out. Finally getting something into the outfield, but can't get it to drop for a hit. And next up is Rob Refsnyder. First pitch in there to Refsnyder, in for a strike, 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. And considering that no team practices bunting defense, if you're struggling like this, it makes you kind of wonder why, some of these individuals haven't tried to drop a bunt down. You can get a single off a bunt. Hell, you can even get a double off a bunt. You never know, how it's going to be, fielded, and you don't know how that throw is going to be to first base. As Refsnyder pops up into right, and that is out number 3. And I don't remember a game where we've gone this long without a hit. But again, we have our worst lineup, probably one of our worst lineups of the year, and we're going against a lefty. And obviously Suarez is doing a good job. We weren't able to really get the pitch count up And a lot of the guys that normally could help us being patient in the box, unfortunately, aren't playing today. And where is his pitch count now? He's at 76. So it's, the 7th inning. So at this point, he could still go all the way to the 8th inning. We might only have 1 inning. And then if they decide to throw in a lefty in the pen, we might not be able to even get a hit today, which would be very depressing. But hopefully we can. All right, let's go to the top of the 7th and hope that they bring in a righty at some point. Let's see who's up next here for Boston. All right, next up for the Red Sox, 0 for 2 with a K, center fielder Ceddanne Rafaela. Batting second in the 3-hole, 1 for 2, right fielder Wilyu Abreu. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, cleanup hitter, first baseman Wilson Contreras. Trident's up, let's go M's. Pitching has been phenomenal, so at least we have that going for us, but just got to find a way. End of the 6th inning, 1-0 Red Sox. First pitch from Castillo to Ceddanne Rafaela, fouls it off, 0-1 count. On my second water bottle already. Top of the 7th inning, 1-0 Boston. And I will be able to do the stream on Father's Day. Initially, I was going to end up spending some time with my dad at his place, but he's got some back issues. So we are going to be able to go out for some breakfast, and I will be doing the game. Hard hit ball into deep right field, and Ceddanne Rafaela is going to get a stand-up double. Castillo giving up a big hit there. First hit for him. Top of the 7th, 1-0 Boston. And, even if he gives up only a run, at this point we're down 1-0 and all it takes is one swing with a home run to tie it up. But, if they get to 2 or 3, it may be, it may be over. Hell, it might be over with 1-0, the way that the game is going, especially if they keep having lefties on the mound. But we just got to pray and hope that we can just find something. And it was a mistake by not playing J.P. Crawford today. And if Luke Raley, is healthy enough, should have put him in the game as well. But, there's Dan Wilson for you. First pitch, Castillo to Abreu, takes a strike looking low and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, check swing, did he go? No, he did not. Pitches high and away, 4-seam fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Wilyer Abreu. One pitch, and Abreu pops it up into center field. Julio is there, good catch, and Rafaela tags up and is at third now, and that is 1 away. Good job there by Julio Rodriguez. Welcome back. Next up in the 4-hole, first baseman Wilson Contreras. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Wild pitch, and runner scores. Jesus. Yikes. And that's why you want to make sure that Castillo pitches 3 innings, not 4. And 2-0 Boston. Terrible. And Castillo with a bad pitch hits Cal on the wrist. And by the time Cal locates the ball, runner scores from third, 2-0 Red Sox. One ball and one strike from Castillo to Contreras. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike from Castillo to Contreras. We just need to get a right-handed pitcher in. That's as simple as that, regardless if he's good or bad. We just need a righty, and if we can get a righty, in, then we can come back. And another hard hit ball getting past Cole Young. And Castillo having a little bit of a mini meltdown. And again, I don't mind the whole piggyback, but Miller should never piggyback with anyone. He's our best guy, and again, everyone has agreed to it because our bullpen is thin and whatnot. And I get it, but you can have everyone else piggyback up with someone, but let Miller, just be by himself. But even with that being said, even if Miller, has this game at 1-0, there's still, no guarantee that we get that run or get 2 to win. Based on, going against a left-handed pitcher today. Next up is Jarren Duran and another base hit. Castillo's having a meltdown. Did great in the first inning, in the 6th, where he got 2 punch outs and a pop-up, and now is having a fucking meltdown. And again, Castillo just doesn't deserve to be a starting pitcher anymore. And even him being a bullpen guy, not really trustworthy. He might be good for like 1/2 inning, and that's it, And Duran singles to left, and now they are getting hot. 2-0 Red Sox with runners at first and second with 1 out. We need a double play desperately. Yeah, but again, when your bullpen is injured, we have no choice. I mean, we got guys, 3 AAA guys that are playing for us, Hoppy and Rucker and, Nick Davila. I mean, normally we won't have any AAA guys in the pen, so that really shows you where we're at. No Brash, no Cooper Criswell, no Carlos Vargas. And even the guys that are normally good haven't really, been good all the time. But, like with Jose Ferrer and Edward Bizardo and Gabe Spire, and, sometimes they're good, sometimes not so much. But that definitely is an area that we need to improve at the trade deadline. There's no doubt about that. And obviously you can call up Cade Anderson, and that would help, but I don't know if the organization is smart enough to do it. They want to wait as long as they can to call him up, but I almost feel that if Sloan and Cade Anderson got called up, they would do better in the pen than most of the guys that we have in there right now, even the experienced ones, especially Cade. I mean, he's killing it right now. I mean, he's like the best farm pitcher in baseball. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Durbin. And just because you are killing it in AA or AAA doesn't mean that you're going to kill it in the big leagues. But for Cade, he's a phenom, and again, he wasn't first pick in the draft, first round pick number 3 for not a reason. Diving attempt and another base hit. Oh, golly. I can't wait for Castillo just to not be on our team anymore, honestly, and we'll just have to wait till next year. I don't want him even in the pen, But for JP Crawford, I definitely want him back. Doesn't have to be a starter. He can be a backup. And then if there's injuries, he can fill in at, second base, shortstop, or third. But, I can't wait for the day where Castillo is no longer on the team. He's just not reliable. Father Time is caught up, and he's fucking terrible. And honestly, if you look at his numbers since we got him, he helped us make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years when we were on that 20-year drought in 2022, when Cal hit the big home run against the Athletics and we made it for the first time in 20 years. He was good that year where we got him from the Reds. But every year after that, if you actually look at the metrics and his numbers, it's kind of been on a downward slope, based on his ERA and his strikeouts and his reliability. And every once in a while, he can pitch a gem, but more times than not, he's going to get roughed up. And now we got bases loaded with 1 out, and we need a double play desperately because obviously when you don't even have a hit and it's the 7th inning, not looking good. We can still win this series, but remember, they're going to go with a lefty tomorrow and a lefty on Father's Day. So it's the first time that we potentially are going to see 3 lefties in a row by a team. So Boston knows exactly what they're fucking doing. They know we have a hard time hitting lefties. And it's bad enough when we have to see a lefty 1 time, but we're going to have to deal with it 2 more games after this. Unless they decide to make a change, but, we'll see. 1 ball and 1 strike to Marcelo Mayer. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees, in there for a strike. And another challenge here by the Red Sox. Seems like they've been winning every challenge. And it is confirmed. Red Sox finally lose a challenge. 1 ball and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 1 out. Top of the 7th, 2-0 Boston. And again, we don't have any really confidence in Ref Snyder or Weston Wilson making his debut. Robles is hit or miss, but what's the excuse for Cavalier, Naylor, Canzone, Young, and Emerson? At least some of those guys should have been able to get a hit. And Marcelo Mayer with a hit up the middle. And how many runs are going to score? And another run scores. Jesus, this one's over. 4-0 Boston. And again, Bryce Miller is the only pitcher that shouldn't piggyback. And it wasn't even fair to him to have Castillo piggyback off him, to begin with. He's our number 1 this year since he came back from the injury. And then you get this bullshit performance out of Castillo. We had it 1-0, and now just like that, in a half inning, now we're sitting at 4-0, and it could end up being 5-0, 6-0. And it wouldn't be that bad if we actually had a righty and we had some fucking hits. But we don't even have a hit yet. Definitely one of the worst games. After we ended up getting a shutout in our last game, winning 3-0, now the Red Sox are giving a shutout back to us, and it doesn't feel good. 4-0 Red Sox. First pitch there into Narvaez. Takes a strike, looking low and at the knees. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch popped up. And that is 2 away. Good job there by Julio. Runner tags up from third. And 5-0 Boston. Brutal. Yeah. We're going to see Cade, after the All-Star break, at the very latest at the playoffs, but hopefully before then, Narvaez with the sac fly. Durbin scores from third. 5-0 Boston. But we can still win the series, winning tomorrow and on Father's Day, but hitting has to be much better, and at least we won't have to see Castillo in those next 2 games. First pitch fouled off by Monasterio. Sinker at 97 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Now, unfortunately, though, the pitch count is so low. He's only at 76 pitches. And a blooper into right field. Diving catch there by Canzone, saving another run. And that is finally out number 3. Now, if Ranger Suarez was like in the 80s or 90s, that would be great. But based off the pitch count, he can go, another inning or 2. Hell, he might be able to pitch the whole game at this point. He's only at 76 pitches. So, unless we have like the biggest meltdown we've seen all year. But, sometimes you just got to call an L an L. Good catch there by Dominic Canzone. And let's see who's up next for the Mariners. And let's see if we can at least get a couple runs on the board, or at least a couple hits on the board for Pride. We have an error, and we have no runs and no hits. And I don't even remember the last time that we haven't had a hit this late in the game at all. But again, one of the weaker lineups we've had as well. Next up, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K. Catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. We need a home run, Cal. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 K, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, first baseman Josh Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Got to dig deep. And if we're not going to, get a bunch of hits or home runs, and win the game, we want to be at least able to get something to have momentum going into tomorrow. $73 subs to go to 24,400. We're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes. And we're at 122. Come on, guys. First pitch fouled off, high and away. 0-1 count. Terrible performance by Luis Castillo, but are we surprised? Not really. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Suarez to Big Dumper. Come on, Cal. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Ranger Suarez to Big Dumper, and Cal's the only one to get on base with a walk today. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Raleigh. That's why it was so important that we should have had JP leading off instead of having Rob Refsnyder. He would have been able to be patient, work the count, maybe get on base with a walk, maybe even be able to get a hit and kind of get the momentum going. You never want to have your worst player on the team leading off a game. I mean, you would think that Dan Wilson would know that, but, you want that leadoff hitter to set the tone. 3-2 pitch to Big Dumper and another walk. Second time today. So we don't got any hits, but at least Cal's got on base with 2 walks today. But now we need to be able to bring him home. Next up in the 3-hole, welcome back to the team. Center fielder Julio Rodriguez had a little bit of a hamstring tweak in the last series, but he's back, so that's great. And on deck in the 4-hole, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Come on, Ems. I mean, even if we can just get to 2 or 3 runs before this game was over, it would be great going into tomorrow. I mean, obviously, winning the game would be number one priority, but when you're this deep into the game with only a couple innings left and you don't even have a hit yet, not ideal. First pitch to Julio, high and away, 1-0 count. I mean, if Castillo was able to keep this game at 1-0 or 2-0, I would still feel pretty good for us coming back. But giving up 4 fucking runs moments ago, not ideal. 1-0 pitch, little blooper in this shallow center field, and caught. And Cal, safe. Almost a double play there. And Rafaela with a great sliding catch there in center field. Down goes Julio Rodriguez. And that is 1 away. Next up is first baseman Josh Naylor. On deck is Dominic Canzone. Luckily, we don't have too many games like this, so we'll have a few, throughout the season, but not many. Not like this. And there we go. Naylor with a big hard hit to the gap, all the way back to the wall. Run, Cal, run. And Cal is at third. There we go. Comparing us to the Jets is laughable. The Jets have not been Super Bowl contenders. I mean, last time they were, maybe when they had Mark Sanchez, when they went to AFC Championship game that one year. But we're still one of the best teams in baseball. And we got the second best chance, to make it to the World Series besides the Yankees. You got the Guardians and the White Sox and the Rays, but based off talent and depth, haters will always hate though. And now we got runners at second and third with 1 out. And hopefully we'll be able to get at least a couple runs here on the board before it's all said and done. Obviously with a Dominic Canzone 3-run jack, that would get us right back into the game. And obviously getting Suarez out of the game and getting a righty in the game could be ideal. That could be kind of like painting the picture on how we come back. Canzone gets a 3-run jack. We get it to 5-3. They take him out. They bring in a righty. He has a meltdown. And then somehow, some way we come back and win 6-5. But that's also assuming that we don't give up any more runs. But, Castillo, can we trust him to not give up any more after giving up 4 moments ago? Not really. First pitch to Canzone, big swing and a miss, low and away, 0-1 count. And they do have a righty warming up in the pen. Thank God, Justin Slater. And a hit right up the middle, back to first, and that is 2 away. Runners cannot come home. Runners are still stranded at second and third, and that is 2 away. All right, let's see if Cole Clutch Young can come up with a clutch hit here, and more times than not, he will. And let's see if we can end up getting an RBI single, RBI double, or a 3-run jack to get us a little bit closer in this game. Yeah, but we're the most injured ball club in baseball. You can't have, a lot of expectations. We're actually doing a lot better, than most teams would. Most teams, if they had the injuries that we had, they would have a record like the Red Sox, 29-43. That could be our record. We could be last place in the AL West. So you have to be, kind of thankful that we're in first place, and, the American League is terrible. So yeah, sometimes things don't go our way, but we're still one of the best teams, with the Yankees and the Rays and, the Guardians and the White Sox. So, it's not like there's a lot of good teams in the American League. We have the most injuries, and we're still finding a way to kind of tread water and stay afloat. So, and normally we're, a 500 ball club in the first half of the season anyways. And this is the most injuries the Mariners have had in like 40 years. So you have to, take it for what it is. Injuries aren't an excuse. It's reality. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. One-two pitch. Almost hitting Young. Has to kind of hop out of the way there. Curveball inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. But the good thing is, after the All-Star break, we're always good. We're always going to turn it on, and we're always going to be a good team on that part of the season. So, and hopefully we'll get some of those injured bodies back. 2-2 pitch. And Young pops it up and out of play. Sinker, 91 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Young. So with all things considered, we're doing great, with all the injuries that we've had. I mean, we have a manager that isn't very good. We have more injuries than we've ever had in the last 40 years. Some of the pitching has gone sideways. We lost a lot of the guys in the bullpen. It is what it is. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Suarez to Young. We just have to be thankful we have the depth that we do. But, now the bullpen is starting to kind of get a little thin, though. Bottom of the 7th inning, runners at second and third with 2 outs. 3-2 pitch to Young, and a walk. Here we go. Bases loaded. Here we go. And it looks like Suarez might be done. And next up is Victor Robles. And we finally got his pitch count up into the 90s. As he's at 94, Ranger Suarez. So he'll be done, and they'll bring in a righty, Slayton. And now if we can get a meltdown by Slayton, we'll be right there. And if we have any chance of coming back in this game, we need to score a minimum of 1 run, but preferably 2, 3, 4, 5 if we can. And I'm really happy that we're getting a righty in the game finally. All right, Justin Slayton coming in, the righty. And we have Victor Robles in the box with bases loaded and 2 outs. And if we can get to Colt Emerson, somehow, some way, that could be where we get to 2, 3, 4, or 5. We just got to get Robles on board. Single, double, triple, home run, hit by pitch, walk, anything. Just no strikeouts, pop-ups, or ground outs. But nice for us to finally, get something going. I mean, it took us 7 innings to get something going, but we finally did, thankfully. But will it be too little, too late? We will find out. If we can get a couple more hits here, we could have it at 5-5 or 5-4. But again, we just need the inning to continue, and we've been pretty good with 2-out rallies. Come on, Robles. And Robles, they're going to have JP Crawford. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Finally, we get JP in the game. And let's see if JP Crawford, he's got a better chance of hitting a grand slam than Robles does. And I like this move here. Should have had JP start the game. It was kind of stupid that they didn't. And let's see if JP Crawford can get a grand slam for us. He, is a guy that can hit a home run, get a single or double, and he's the most patient hitter on the team. And we should have had him lead off instead of Ref Snyder. Ref Snyder should never fucking lead off under no circumstance. Make it make sense. Worst player on the team leading off. Give me a break. First pitch, low and at the knees for a strike. 0-1 count. He's got 6 career grand slams under his belt, and I do like the move. Maybe the only good move that Dan Wilson's made today. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, but you also have to remember he's been sitting for 2 hours. He hasn't had any reps, so just got to hope. No balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. Come on, JP. Justin Slayton on the mound. JP Crawford in the box, pinch hitting for Victor Robles with bases loaded and 2 outs. 0-2 pitch. High and inside. Good take there. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th, we're down 5-0. One-two pitch. Low and at the knee is another good take there. Now, if we could actually get a big hit here and not have Castillo pitch the rest of the game and scrap the whole piggyback thing and then bring in Bazardo or Spire or Ferrer, we actually might be able to come back. But if we have Castillo for the rest of the game, which I assume they will, even if we end up scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs this inning, it still may not be enough. But I really hope that we can keep this inning alive. Come on, JP. 2-2 pitch. Inside. Great take. 3 straight balls after taking first and second pitch strikes. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. And if it's not there, take the walk and we can get that runner from third to come home. Come on, JP. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. And that is the end of the 7th inning. We leave 3 stranded. Tough. Just not our day. All right, let's see who's up next as we go to the top of the 8th. 0 for 3, DHing Mickey Gasper. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a run and a K, center fielder Cedon Rafaela. And batting third, 1 for 3, right fielder in the 3-hole, Wilyer Abreu. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We're at 2 on the Dono train, 98 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes. We're at 131. See if we can get to 150 before the game is over. 69 to 200. Five runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Red Sox. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error for the M's. And obviously, Bryce Miller was electric in the piggyback. Only gave up a run, 1 solo dinger from Caleb Durbin. And then Castillo came in and got 2 punch outs and then got a pop-up. And we thought, okay, maybe Castillo will pitch well. But that was short-lived. And then in the second inning, in the 7th, he gave up 4 runs. And then that's why we're down 5-0. If we were down 1-0 or 2-0 right now, we still would have a really good chance of coming back and winning, I believe. But down 5, man, it's going to take a miracle. And now they got Connor Joe in left field. So Joe takes over Victor Robles in left. And I don't know if I really like that move either. First pitch from Castillo to Gasper. Takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. Just move Castillo to the pen and only let him pitch a half inning, and that's it. Call up Cade Anderson, and don't let Wu or Miller piggyback off anybody. There's certain things that you just have to know your squad. And I don't think Dan Wilson really has a pulse on this team. Little flip back to Castillo, toe tap on the bag, and that is one away. And I get it. It's a long season, but again, I feel like Dan Wilson, he manages the game as if he's managing the whole year. He's looking like so far into the future. Sometimes you got to look at the game at hand, and I feel that he's not very good at that. Like situational baseball, he's terrible. Top of the 8th, 5-0 Boston. Next up is Ceddanne Rafaela. First pitch, fouls it off himself. 0-1 count. Because we're going against 3 lefties, so they decided to go with, our righty lineup, which stinks, but again, JP, should be our leadoff hitter, regardless if it's a righty or a lefty. And Rob Refsnyder should never lead off, ever. The worst player on the team leading off. It shows you Dan Wilson does not know how to manage. There's certain things. If you want Rob to play, then have Rob hit in the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th hole. Never lead off, and even an amateur could come up with that conclusion. 0-2 pitch, low and away. It's just like those simple things that, he lacks, the awareness not to even bunt. Nobody practices bunting defense. You can get a single or a double out of a bunt, but do the Mariners bunt often? No, it's just kind of maddening, but. And then obviously dropping Master Boney today, and bringing up a player in Weston Wilson. Like, what did he think was going to happen? It's like sometimes you just have to come to the realization, just because you're playing a lefty doesn't mean that you bring in a righty and they're going to get a hit. If the righty stinks, he sucks. He's not going to get a fucking hit more than likely, I'd rather go with a lefty all day long with like Rayleigh or JP Crawford than seeing fucking Weston Wilson or Rob Refsnyder, and they should have kept Pareda over Garver. It's like simple things that most fans, and I get it. There's only so many room, for spots, for certain, positions and whatnot. But, there's usually a better option, and we usually go for the worst option out of the two more times than not. The front office is not willing to admit that they made a mistake. When they sign a guy in the offseason, they just can't let him go. They just have to drag it out forever. Like just fucking cut Refsnyder. He stinks. Should have went with Pareda over Garver. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to come to that conclusion. 1-0 pitch, little dribbler. Naylor is there. Toe tap on the bag. And that is out number 3. All right, we got 2 innings to get 5 runs to tie, or 2 innings to get 6 runs and win. And let's see if we can get a little bit of that Mariner magic like we had in that previous inning. And, if you don't got Brendan Donovan leading off and he's been injured, there should only be 2 players leading off. JP Crawford 1 or Cole Young 2, maybe even Colt Emerson 3, But again, you have to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of a ball club. And I just feel like Dan Wilson is just out of touch, kind of like Scott Service was. But unfortunately, there's just a lot of, safe average managers or below average managers that aren't willing to go above and beyond. They just like to play it safe. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners, and let's see if we can get a little bit of that Soto mojo. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 in the 8-hole, shortstop phenom Colt Emerson. Batting second, welcome to the ball club in the 9-hole, third baseman today, Weston Wilson. And batting third, 0 for 3, DHing Rob Refsnyder. Just cut his ass already. He's fucking terrible. I mean, he's even worse than Dylan Moore, and Dylan Moore was fucking terrible last year. It's hard to think that we have a player that's worse than Dylan Moore last year, but Refsnyder definitely is. And again, Luke Rayleigh and JP Crawford and certain guys, they are going to struggle sometimes with lefties compared to righties. But who do we trust more? Are good players, hitting against righty and lefty pitching, or just going with a quote unquote specialist that can only hit against lefties? But guess what? A lot of those guys, if you can't hit, you're probably not going to get a hit even in that, ideal situation, It's like you actually have to be a good hitter, and he might have been able to be a good hitter for the Red Sox last year, but T-Mobile is the hardest ballpark to hit at. So just because you were amazing against, lefties in Boston last year does not mean that's going to be good for us in the following year. And, and sometimes when you play your former team, right, you'll play well, but, especially in football. Not really the case in baseball, though. Greg Weissert coming in now, another righty on the mound, so at least we're going to have a chance. First pitch to Colt Emerson, takes a strike looking right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Little blooper. Oh my God, what a catch. Great defense there. And that is 1 away. Marcelo Mayer with an amazing jumping catch. And that is 1 away. First pitch to Weston Wilson, the former Oriole in Philly, takes a strike looking high and away, 0-1 count. And for us to get Weston Wilson, we put Miles Mastrobuoni as a designated for assignment. So we have 7 days to decide if we're going to release him, put him on waivers, send him to the minors, or trade him. And that was a mistake as well. Little dribbler, throw back to first, and that is 2 away. It's like, go with your players that are good, rather than trying to have, shitty players, just because it's a lefty. Oh, they're a righty, they're going to do good. Well, how's that worked out for us this year? When we go against left-handed pitching, we're fucking terrible. Next up is Rob Refsnyder. It's just like fucking 4 wasted at-bats, every fucking time that this guy comes in. Now, every once in a blue moon, Refsnyder will get a hit or an RBI or draw a walk, but he definitely is by far the worst player on the team, and it's not even close. First pitch is high and inside, 1-0 count. Yeah, and even Bliss was good in those first 2 games, and we replaced him with Mastrobuoni, and obviously Bliss is in AAA, and, he'll do his thing there, but Mastrobuoni could play more positions, so that's why, it made sense, but, putting Mastrobuoni on, designated for assignment for fucking Weston Wilson, give me a break, just because he's a righty, and that's the type of bullshit, dumb managing, that cost us games. 2-0 pitch, fouled off. Behind the plate, 2 balls and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. Two-one pitch, low and away. 3 balls and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. And considering we're the most banged up ball club in baseball, we want to make sure we're keeping our good pieces, not letting guys go. So should never, trade Mastrobuoni or waive him or, send him to AAA if you don't want him on the ball club. But, it definitely makes you scratch your head, a few times throughout the season on the front office. So pitch fouled off there by Refsnyder. 3-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Refsnyder. And Refsnyder going 0 for 4. Does that really surprise anybody? And that's a big swing and a miss, and that is out number 3. End of the 8th inning, 5-0 Boston. I mean, at this point, I hope we can get at least a run so we don't get shut out. All right, next up for the Red Sox in the top of the 9th, 1 for 3 with a run and a K. First baseman Wilson Contreras. Batting second in the 5-hole, left fielder, 1 for 3 with a run and 2 Ks, Jarren Duran. And batting third, 2 for 3 with 2 runs, an RBI and a K. Had the solo dinger on Bryce Miller to give him the 1-0 lead, Caleb Durbin. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Gain a sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 72 subs to go to 24,400. We're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes and how close we can get to 150. We're at 134. If we can get 16 people out of the 130 to hit the like button, we'll be at 150. I mean, the piggyback concept can work if both pitchers play well and the bats come alive, but unfortunately, Miller was great. Castillo, not so much, and hard to win a game when you only have one hit and 2 walks. So, left-handed pitching is definitely our bugaboo, and the Red Sox are going to do something potentially that we haven't seen all year, throw up a lefty starter tomorrow and a lefty starter on Sunday. So, somehow, some way, we have to find a way to rough those guys up and, hopefully have a better lineup. Because if Dan Wilson does this lineup, essentially for 3 games, we're going to lose all 3. We have to be able to get JP in there, Luke Raley. You just can't have Rob Refsnyder playing in these games and Weston Wilson. You got to have a better lineup. And even if we have a great lineup, we still may lose, but at least it'll give us a better chance, to get RBIs, hits, and home runs. And we won't be piggybacking, obviously, tomorrow or Sunday either. So 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Wilson Contreras. One pitch. Big swing and a miss. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Contreras. And again, just like kind of George Kirby recently, Castillo, has like that one bad inning, and then it, really kills the momentum for us. When you give up 3 or 4 runs in a single inning, tough to come back from that, especially if the hitting is minimal like it is today. And Contreras pops up into right, and that is 1 away. Good job there by Dominic Canzone. Next up is Jarren Duran. That's the problem. Dan is not a good manager. Again, he might be slightly better to some people than Scott Service, but they're essentially the same person. They just throw guys out there and then hope they figure it out, and they're not good with the lineups. They keep guys in too long, pull guys too soon. Situational baseball, they're not good, either one of them, and then pressure situations, they fold like a lawn chair, and again, it's frustrating, but eventually, hopefully we'll end up getting someone that will be, on the Lou Piniella level, and that will be able to take us to the promised land. And even with Dan Wilson, he could end up taking us to the promised land just because of the talent that we have. And Castillo won't be on our team next year, so we won't have to worry about dealing with this bullshit next year. But then we'll have 5 starters and then Cade Anderson waiting to take someone's spot, because eventually they'll start him in the pen, but Cade will be good enough to be one of the starters at some point sooner than later. And it'll be great to have a lefty in the starting rotation that actually is good. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees, and that is 2 away. Yeah, it's pretty much like Dylan Moore, but worse, and they hung on to Dylan Moore way too long. They should have brought up Leo Rivas last year, months and months and months before, but Dylan could play multiple positions, so they just let him stay on the team, and, it hurt us, and again, that type of situation, decision-making, you have to be able to know your team, and clearly Scott Service and Dan Wilson do not. You got to have a pulse on your team. Who's good? Who's not? Can't make everyone happy. You can't be friends with everybody. You have a job, to be a manager. Manage. 0-1 pitch in there for a strike right down the middle. No balls and 2 strikes to Caleb Durbin. Yeah, there's no world, no universe that Refsnyder should be leading off. And that's another thing where Dan is an idiot. 0-2 pitch popped up. And that ends up dropping in front of Julio all the way back to the wall, and Durbin with a double. Durbin having a great game. 3 for 4 day here for Durbin. If you want Refsnyder to play, have him, take 2 at-bats and then replace him, unless he gets a hit. and only have him hit in the 7 or the 8 hole. Nowhere else, But again, Dan isn't really the brightest. Might have been a pretty good player for us, back in the Randy Johnson era, but as far as a manager, just because you played in the major leagues as a player doesn't mean that you're going to be a good manager. And there's a lot of former players that are managers, as we know, in the big leagues. First pitch to Marcelo Mayer, big swing and a miss, high and inside, 0-1 count. And I just hope that we don't do a similar lineup tomorrow, and on Sunday, because potentially they could have lefties start, tomorrow and on Sunday for Father's Day. And I was going to be going to my dad's on Father's Day, and we weren't going to stream, but he called me today, has a back issue. So we're going to get some, breakfast at like Black Bear Diner and hang out for a couple hours. And I will be streaming at 1:10 on Father's Day. I will be back in time. So we'll be able to hopefully get a win on that particular stream. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees, 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Marcelo Mayer. One-two pitch, popped up. And Joe mistimes it. Jesus Christ, Joe. Why is Joe in the game? And another run scores. Good job, Joe. You can't even feel the fucking pop-up. And see, that's why you need to get rid of Mitch Garver. You need to get rid of Connor Joe. You need to get rid of Rob Refsnyder. You got to bring back Miles Mastroboni. Bring back Johnny Pareda. But again, the front office is fucking stubborn. They're like, oh, we signed a guy in the offseason, so we're going to keep him no matter what. How's that working out for us? Well, the Mariner hitters and Castillo lost us this game. So, I mean, even if we would have pitched Bryce the whole game, and let's say it's, 1-0 right now, maybe we still lose 1-0. Obviously we only have 1 hit today, 2 walks and an error. That's not enough to win a game, even if Bryce pitches the whole game and, it's 1-0. 0-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo. To Carlos Narvaez. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carlos Narvaez. Come on, baby. Next up is Andrew Monasterio, if they get there. I mean, we did win 3-0 in our last game, and it's not like this happens often, but again, when this kind of shit does happen, it's usually when we go against a lefty, because, we have a shitty righty lineup, and again, Dan needs to recognize, if we're going to go against a lefty, stop going with the crappy right-handed hitters. Go with the best players available. Play JP, play Luke Rayleigh if he's available and healthy. Have the best players play, not just a righty bat because we're going against lefty pitching. It hasn't worked, and it continues not to work, but he continues to do the same thing over and over. Two-two pitch. And Narvaez pops it up. Julio is there, and that is out number 3. And at this point, I just hope that we can get a run, but again, we only have 1 hit today, so not ideal. But a couple home runs would be great. Just like we did with Dominic Canzone and Cole Young, and it carried over to the next game. Let's have it happen here. Next up, 0 for 1 with 2 walks and a K. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's hit a fucking home run. Let's go. Batting second, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Hey, you hit a home run. Center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, it's Nails in the 4-hole. First baseman, 1 for 3 with a K. You hit a home run. And we know we're not going to get back-to-back-to-back home runs, but, I mean, we got 3 guys that could, hit a home run. And hopefully we can get at least one of those 3 to do that. So that way we don't lose 6-0. 6-1 looks better on the scoreboard than 6-0, so. And unfortunately, Dan Wilson isn't the only manager that manages that way. Scott Service did the same thing, our previous manager, and about 95% of managers, manage the same way as Dan Wilson. It's kind of sad to say, but that's just, how they manage. There's only, 3-4 managers out of 30 teams that are good that won't do that, but unfortunately, we don't have one of those guys. All right, Mariner Moose is going to get us a run. I don't know how the hell we're going to get a run, but we got to pray that Cal, Julio, or Naylor hits a home run, or two of them hit a home run, like Dominic Canzone and Cole Young did late in the 9th inning a couple days ago. We got to add some stats. Let's go, Big Dumper. Let's go, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, Nails, Josh Naylor. It also shows you, how ineffective we are with no J.P. Crawford in the lineup, no Randy Arozarena in the lineup, no Luke Raley in the lineup, and those three guys are instrumental in our wins more times than not. So we got Emerson Hancock on the mound tomorrow and Logan Gilbert on Father's Day. Rally shoe. Bottom of the 9th, 6-0 Boston. Come on, Mariners. Let's try to get at least a run or two on the board for pride. We're better than this. First pitch is low and away. 1-0 count. I mean, we had bases loaded, but even if we would have scored a few runs there, still may have not been enough, but at least it would have made the game fun at that point, right? But thankfully, we only have a few of these a year where we get skunked like this. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike to Cal Raleigh. Change up right down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike to the Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. And we didn't even bunt today. How dumb is that? 1-1 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Yeah, but Cal's been injured almost the whole year, so I mean, you can't expect Cal to be batting 300 when he's been hurt for a majority of the year. Two-two pitch, and a little dribbler towards first and foul. Change up, 89 miles an hour, 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody on, no outs. Bottom of the 9th, 6-0 Boston. Come on, Mariners. We got to get at least a run before this one is over. And then I'll be live tomorrow, same time, same place at 7 o'clock Pacific. And then we are live on Father's Day at 1:10 Pacific on Sunday. Two-two pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to the Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Yeah, but when you're playing through an injury, obviously you're not going to be able to, play that well. And obviously Cal was playing through the injury for quite some time. But when he was on the Tacoma Rainiers before we called him up, I mean, he had 5 home runs in a week, and he had 2 multi-homer games. And yeah, it's against AAA competition, but at least he was starting to kind of lock in. And in his first game, he got that game-winning RBI for us. It's just about getting him up to speed with the consistency that we all know with Cal Raleigh, and it takes time. You just can't expect a guy to flip the switch and he's all of a sudden, a 300 hitter for the rest of the year. 3-2 pitch, and Cal draws his 3rd walk of the game. We have 3 walks and 1 hit. And Cal's got 3 walks today. So at least Cal's doing his job. All right, next up is Julio Rodriguez. Let's see if Julio can get a home run for us, or at least an RBI. And then on deck is Josh Naylor. First pitch to Julio is low and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch. Julio with a hard hit ball, deep center field. Gone! Let's go! Let's go! Julio Rodriguez with a 2-run jack. I told you. Let's go. And again, we're going to lose this game more than likely, right? But at least we end up getting off the 0, and now it's 6-2 Boston. Great job there by Julio Rodriguez. 408 feet with Cal on board. 6-2 Boston. There we go. The sports gods, they said, you know what? O-Dog wants a home run. You get a home run. Next up is first baseman Josh Naylor. On deck is Dominic Canzone. There we go. And again, just like when we had Dominic Canzone and Cole Young homer in the 9th a few days ago, that carried over into the following game, and I believe it will tomorrow as well. Great job, Julio. Welcome back from the injury. First pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away, 0-1 count. I feel a little bit better now. You know, obviously it stinks, you know, when you lose games, but it's even worse when you're at 0, you know, and the other team is above 5 runs. So, you know, see how many more that we can get before this one's over. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Little dribbler right back to the pitcher. Throw back to first, and that is 1 away. Next up, right fielder, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Let's see if Dom can hit a home run. And then on deck is Cole Clutch Young. It'd be awesome if we can get Dom and Cole the homer again like they did a few days ago, back to back. Shows you how much better we are against righties than lefties. Lefties are our kryptonite. And it doesn't even matter if the player is, you know, 5-1 with an ERA of 2 or 1-5 with an ERA of 10. You know, if they're a left-handed pitcher, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, it's rough. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, low and away. No balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Would be awesome if we had Brandon Donovan in the lineup. Would be awesome if we had Randy Arozarena in the lineup. Would be awesome if we had Luke Raley in the lineup. Hopefully Luke will be in the lineup tomorrow at some point. He won't start because we're going to go against left-handed pitching, you know, unless Dan throws him in there. But I highly doubt he will. But it would be nice to see him play. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. And that is 2 away. Down goes Dominic Canzone. And last but not least, unless we can get a 2-out rally going, in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. See if Young can hit his 7th home run on the season. First pitch is low and away. 0-1 count. And the call is confirmed. Come on, Cole. Great two-way player. We'll get a Gold Glove this year and has saved the most runs out of any second baseman in MLB this season. Phenomenal defender, and he'll get better and better as a hitter as well. Same thing with Colt Emerson. Pitch fouled off, out of play, no balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. (0-2) pitch, and Young pops up, and this is ball game. And that is out number 3. All right, let's go over the stats here quickly like we do every day. Final score, Red Sox 6, Mariners 2. At least we didn't get shut out. All right, Mickey Gasper 0 for 4. Cedon Rafaela, 1 for 4 with a run. Wilyer Abreu, 1 for 4. Wilson Contreras, 1 for 4 with a run. Kind of a common theme for them. Jaron Duran, 1 for 4 with a run. So the first 5 players there. Caleb Duran with a MVP performance, 3 for 4 with 3 runs, a home run and an RBI. Marcelo Mayer, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Carlos Narvaez, 0 for 3. And 1 for 3, Andrew Monasterio. Rob Refsnyder, 0 for 4. Shouldn't surprise anyone. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 1 with a run, but 3 walks. Julio Rodriguez, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run. Welcome back to the team. Thank you for getting us off the 0. Josh Naylor, 1 for 4. Dominic Canzone, 0 for 4. Cole Young, 0 for 3. Victor Robles, 0 for 2. Colt Emerson, 0 for 3. And Weston Wilson, 0 for 3. Tough one, and again, hopefully it'll be better tomorrow. And we got Emerson Hancock on the mound. So, he's been pretty damn good for us. So top 3 pitcher all year. So final score, Red Sox 6, Mariners 2. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us, your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, Tridents up and go Mariners.